up, everyone? Episode 6 of the In the Box podcast. Today we're going to be talking to you about something that's very, very important, but kind of depressing. Yeah. Depressing in a lot of ways, but important nonetheless.
Let's open with the fact that Deadpool 3 has now officially halted production.
Which is crazy because all the hype started coming after those set leaks, came out.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of hypes. It was like people were getting really excited after seeing Hugh Jackman in the suit.
Yep.
And then, boom, production stops.
Yep.
Now, Dave, why did the production stop on Deadpool 3?
Because of the writer and actors strike.
Which the actors strike just started.
Mm-hmm.
The writer's strike has been going on for, I think, between 70 and 80 days now.
Yeah. And also, it also started during wasn't it during a premiere for Oppenheimer?
The actor strike, yeah.
Yeah. They happened, and
they left.
Yeah,
the cast left the premiere.
Cillian Murphy and who else was it? Florence Pugh. They both left. Right.
No, literally all of them.
Like right. Oh, all of them.
All of them. Yeah, they all left.
Yeah. All parties included. But yeah, dude. So. Man, what does that mean?
So, back in 2022, there was a tweet that came out that I guess Sydney Sweeney had been doing an interview, and a tweet came out where she was talking about her pay.
Mm-hmm.
And Euphoria at the time was like probably the #1 show on TV. And when you have like one of the stars of the show, specifically season 2, I feel like she was more.
Oh yeah, she had way more involvement, way more of a storyline.
Yeah, so
way more work to do as an actress.
When you have one of your stars come out and say, like, be kind of like not complaining, but be discussing money issues.
Yeah,
it sounds kind of whack, to like the average person. But what she was saying was like she doesn't get any residuals, and I think basically what she was saying was that she's getting paid her flat SAG rate, which is probably like 20,000.
I think it was close to like 26,000. I remember.
Yeah, 26,000, whatever.
26,000.
And like us as like regular human beings, I can understand how people see that and they're like, "Why are you complaining? Like you're famous, you're a celebrity, you're whatever, right?" But I think the celebrity of it all outweighs the financial side of it all. So she's way more famous than the amount of money she's actually making.
Fame doesn't pay the bills,
Yeah, fame doesn't equate.
Fame doesn't get you, like, fame doesn't get you better pay.
Exactly.
Despite what you may believe, no.
Exactly.
Not true.
So when that tweet came out and people saw it, like I specifically remember a lot of people were roasting the hell out of her for discussing this. They were like, "Yo, like you're probably one of the more like popular people right now. You're like the it girl right now," and like literally
the rebuttal is basically just like, "Shut up."
Yeah, it's like shut up. Like you're talking about money while I'm fucking sitting here working my 9 to 5, watching you every Sunday, and it's like.
Which in reality, the person who's telling that other person to shut up is like probably making more. Than Sydney Sweeney.
Exactly.
Most likely making more than Sydney
Sweeney.
Exactly.
So fast forward to I think a couple months ago, the writers' strike begins, and the writers are basically striking because they're not being paid. Mm-hmm. They're not being paid anything.
This was for writers of television. This was for writers of film. This was for,
And I'm gonna Google real quick.
Yeah.
But you can start getting into the writer's strike. But I want to Google specifically what projects James Gunn has rewritten without a writing credit, and this happens a lot. And writers just don't get paid, and studios will hire writers to do, second drafts, third drafts of a big budget film script.
Yeah.
And just not pay them.
Yeah.
And not give them a credit. Mm-hmm. So like. They just did the work for free, basically.
Yeah.
So you discuss that while I'm going to Google this.
To basically use like an example, as we were talking about with Deadpool 3, as the writer's strike was going on, production for Deadpool 3 was still going on. And what that basically meant, though, was that actors and writers writers could not be involved in the film. Therefore, the actors had to stick to the script. So that's basically like writing something that is like a first draft and then bringing it to set and having to commit to that. Now, normally that's not something that happens. That's not something that happens like almost ever, because when you're on a production, for instance, when you're on a production, a lot of the writing actually changes. Sometimes the day of shooting, you're having rewrites, and that's how you kind of get these moments in film that end up being just a lot better, is because there's more time to mull over the details. There's more time to actually play it out, execute it. Whereas, like, if you're just going in with the script that Deadpool 3 had, and you had to commit to that all the way through, you might not have that great of a finished product. Maybe some things couldn't be executed the way they should have been. Maybe some things needed to be changed. Maybe some things needed to be rewritten. But that's just something that they wouldn't have been able to do. And now that the actors' strike has come along, now they're finally halting production. But yeah, it's basically going in with a first draft, and nobody really likes that. I remember we were even talking about this a couple years ago, but during the production of Joker, there was something in the script where Joker was actually meant to, after he killed those three guys on the subway, he goes into the bathroom and he, what was it? He hides the gun, he washes the makeup off, and then that was supposed to be the original bathroom scene. Now, had they shot that scene, I'm sure it would have been fine. I'm sure it would have been okay, but then you wouldn't have had like this amazing scene where it's Joker coming to this moment of actualization where he's realizing, like, he likes the thrill of killing, he likes, the act of getting away, the adrenaline it gives him, but that's all given to us through this form of him dancing in a bathroom with this amazing score, this amazing cello, this amazing use of the cello. And you wouldn't have had that in that final product. You wouldn't have had that in the final cut of the movie.
Why?
Because of rewrites.
Oh yeah,
because they wouldn't have been, if there was a writer's strike going on. Say, for instance, if they had committed to the original script, you wouldn't have had that moment. So that's why rewrites are important.
Well, because they were waiting around or something, right? And he just started dancing and they started filming him.
That was all impromptu.
Yeah. So I was googling James Gunn. He's a really talented writer. He wrote all the Guardians of the Galaxies. He also did uncredited rewrites on a lot of MCU films as well as a lot of DC films.
Yeah.
So, like, most likely, if any of those DC films, which most of them are shit, have like an ounce of just like goodness in them, it's probably because of James Gunn's uncredited rewrites, which is fucking crazy. But whatever. So like,
isn't it? It's so weird to like kind of like when you peel back the veil on James Gunn's work, and you find out that he actually had a hand in like maybe even like probably the better moments, the things that made like would probably have made like Batman versus Superman like a lot better, or something like any of the DC movies, like Wonder Woman or some shit.
Yeah.
Like he's just had it. It's so weird how much he's had a hand in so many projects over the years.
Yeah, and that shit really sucks. Imagine imagine going to like, actually, who was I talking to that this happened to? Okay, I was talking to somebody recently, and they were like going to, it was like a young kid, and they were going to like, it was like McDonald's or some fast food place.
Yeah.
And they were going to go for training. And they were like, okay, well, we'll put you through this training, and if we like you, we'll keep you and you'll stay on.
Yeah.
And so they went and they did a whole day's work, and they're like, hey, we didn't really like you, so here's like the flat rate for what you work today, but we're not gonna like keep you or anything.
Yeah.
And we're not really gonna tell anyone that you really did this work or whatever. Like, imagine like that's what happens in the writers, like to writers in Hollywood. Like they go and they're like, hey, like for like, can I pay you like $5,000 just like off the books?
Yeah.
And you just do this rewrite real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do it. It makes the big budget film significantly better. and they get no credit. They get no residuals. You know, for those of you who are questioning what residuals are, that's basically like if you like, okay, Seinfeld. Like, let me Google how much Seinfeld makes off of like residuals. So residuals are amounts that are paid out for like reruns or rebroadcasts of like films. You know,
and for context, just okay. So think about how often, guys, that Seinfeld is broadcasted on daytime television.
Yeah,
and that's going to be context for how much.
So we're talking about syndication, streaming rights, merchandise, all these residual checks that Jerry Seinfeld is getting. So to this day, it's estimated that both Seinfeld and Larry David receive residual checks of between $40 million and $60 million each year.
Yeah.
So they could quit their jobs, live at home, not do anything all day, and still make 40 to 60 million each year.
Yeah.
Just off of the work they did back in the 90s. Residuals.
That's
that is basically being taken away. A lot of writers and actors are doing work with no guaranteed residuals.
Yeah.
So that's something that Sydney Sweeney was discussing, and that's kind of leading into the actors' strike as well. Sydney Sweeney was doing work on probably one of the 21st century's most popular shows, one of HBO's most popular shows, Euphoria, and not getting any residuals from it. So in 20 years, it basically means nothing to her financially. It's just something she kind of just did. So they're paying her a flat rate and giving her no percentages, of the back end.
Which is fucking crazy because if you really think about it, that is something that's going to be work that's tied to her legacy in a lot of ways, If she gets more work, which I hope she does in the future because she is a great actress. She is a talented actress, and I do hope that she does get more work in the future. But to know that Euphoria is going to be basically like forever part of like one of the better things that she's done in her career, and to think that she's not gonna there's like no money tied to that whatsoever.
Yeah,
like it's just like something you did. It's like you may as well have like done a show for fucking YouTube basically.
Yeah. And another reason, kind of like the final point for the actor strike is like the other thing that they were striking about was that studios wanted to introduce the AI technology. So for background actors, which are called extras, but they changed the term to make it sound less degrading, I guess.
Yeah.
But background actors, what studios are proposing is that you go in and they pay you the day rate, which could be anywhere from $200 to $500. You go in, you sign your life rights away, or your likeness rights away.
Yeah.
And they go and they put you in this thing that
they call it the truck.
Yeah, and they like scan your entire body, your entire face, right? So then they pay you, you go and you appear in this one movie, right? Mm-hmm. And you as the background actor, which a lot of background actors are like actors, they want to be like actors. They want to be big time actors. So imagine you go there, and then so another studio has work for you, and you go and you want to be a background actor there, and they're like, hey, actually, we can't hire you because you have a contract with Warner Brothers. And you're like, what do you mean I have a contract with Warner Brothers? They're like, yeah, when you actually signed your likeness away, so we actually can't use your likeness in this film. Yep. You're like, okay. So you go back to Warner Brothers, and you're like, hey, Warner Brothers, do you have any more work for me? And they're like, well, no, actually, because we use your likeness and we use AI to digitally add you into the background.
So as a working actor, you have quintessentially fucked yourself.
Yeah, so you're like
ever getting work ever.
So you're
again.
like, okay, so am I gonna see any checks from that? And they're like, well, no, because whenever we first hired you, whenever you did that first job, you actually signed your likeness away, so we can actually use that for free. Okay, well, how long do you like? How long till I can do work in? Oh, well, like we own this forever. So,
yeah,
it's like holy shit. Like
that's like if Naughty Dog, right, used the likeness of Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson, and basically use that to make The Last of Us Part 3 without ever paying Troy Baker or Ashley Johnson like their work.
Yeah, they
Think
just use
about
AI.
how crazy that is.
Yeah, they just use AI to like come up with more lines
Yeah.
using their voice.
And I can't imagine listening to the stupid fucking contrarian that thinks that like this is like some kind of new good thing that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anybody actually seeing this as good, you know?
This is why heads of studios should not be businessmen.
Yeah.
I understand it, right? But I think if we can go back to James Gunn for a sec, I think James Gunn is probably a really good step in the right direction because he's now the head of DC Studios with Peter Safran, but he's a creative.
Yeah.
And Peter Safran is the businessman.
Gunn spent a majority of his career being a writer, being a director, being somebody who was working with writers, somebody who's working with actors, somebody who knows, you know, somebody who has a relationship with people, you know.
And so
working people, you know?
these businessmen, they don't care about people. They don't care about actors. They're like, oh, actors. In fact, I know actors are seen as like cows.
Yeah.
Like cattle.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we tell them what to do and they do it. It's like, that's it. They don't care about their feelings. They don't care about their performances. They don't give a shit. They just give a shit about what will make the studio the most money. And what they don't realize is that what will make the studio the most money is if they keep putting out good movies.
And, you know, also the thing is, too, like, that you got to understand is that Kathleen Kennedy, people like Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, Avi Arad, you know, the studio execs, they hardly ever have creative input. Their job basically is to make shareholders rich. Make sure that they make sure that those profits keep going up and up and up every single year. That's their job. And so what do? That's why you have so many products nowadays from Star Wars and from Marvel and from, you know, Pixar alike, where it's all just fan service. It's all just regurgitation. Why we can never move on from anything out that wasn't like anything outside of fucking 1995, anything past 1995. We just can't fucking move on from it. You know, we can't move on from Star Wars. We can't move on from fucking Marvel. We can't move on because why? Because that's Bob Iger's job, to make sure that you don't ever move on, to make sure that Toy Story 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are going to be coming like for the next 30 years. That's their. That's the. It's sad. It's depressing. But that's what they do. That's their contribution to the culture of cinema.
Yeah,
the whole culture of it. You know.
And didn't Bob Iger come out and actually just admit that like, hey, we've oversaturated the waters with just like Marvel and shit. And like, I think going into like, I think this is all happening right now, and it sucks so bad. Like, it just sucks. But I think we're going in the right direction. Like, executives are like realizing like, oh shit. Like, we're losing money here. The Flash, flop. Fucking Secret Invasion, the new Marvel show. No one's watching that. Literally, no one's watching that shit.
I was actually gonna ask you, have you been watching?
Fuck no, I ain't watched that shit. Fucking what else just flopped?
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones, flop. It's like they don't care. We don't care about these old properties. I guarantee you they put out another Star Wars movie right now, flop.
Indiana Jones did fine, but worldwide, domestically, dude, that was some depressing shit.
Yeah, because they spent way too much money on that shit. For no, again, if you want to hear about that, go watch our last episode. But like, for no reason, like they could have taken that money and done what I proposed in the last episode and done like a limited series where they just de-age him the whole time. Which would have been fucking sick. That would have been awesome. But not the point.
There is, you know, I was thinking about what you're saying, but I'm thinking more and more. I remember I saw this tweet about a scene in Captain America Winter Soldier and how it was shot. And their use of green screen and CGI was in the most mundane scene. It's literally Nick Fury sitting in a chair with a gun in his hand like this,
Mm-hmm.
but the gun is literally just like a little plastic thing
Mm-hmm.
with some tape around it, with a green screen behind him,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not even a creative decision.
I thought that was Secret Invasion.
It might have been also Secret Invasion. I wouldn't
I
put
think-
it past
I think
that
it
they
was-
use that they also do
Yeah,
that shit in Secret
I think
Invasion.
it was Secret Invasion because, yeah,
Yeah.
that's just,
And so like to make my point of like what I was gonna say is that, you know, AI and CGI, it's not being used for creative decision making anymore.
yeah,
It's not being used in any kind of way that it expands on the movie, in any way that elevates the movie. It's now being used for censorship. You know,
mm-hmm.
it's now being used for getting past, you know, censors in other countries, because, you know, other countries have other stuff banned, and
Mm-hmm.
so now it's like we have CGI just kind of in this headlock where it can't even go anywhere anymore.
It's also
you know?
being used to alter performances.
Yeah, and used to alter performance.
Like if an actor can't cry, they're like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll put it in post."
Yeah,
And like,
and that's why you have so much CGI blood now too.
yeah, and Robert Downey Jr. did an episode of Joe Rogan where he talked exactly about like his experiences working on the MCU.
Yeah.
And you know, one of the saddest things for me was like if you go watch the like I highly recommend anyone who loves movies and loves Marvel movies, good Marvel movies,
Mm-hmm.
to go watch the first Iron Man, but like in 4K on a 4K TV.
Yeah.
It looks so fucking good. The suit is real. And then immediately put it on Endgame, and it's like all CG. Everything's
Yeah.
CG. It's like, damn, dude. Like,
I got to tell you one of the worst things. Okay, one of the things that I hate most about like how they suit up nowadays in Marvel movies.
it's like
just literally like the laziest fucking like Ant-Man literally just presses his chest and then like what the fuck? What
it's
the
like
fuck?
it's like in the first Iron Man he was all and they had that badass suit up scene where it's like and they're putting it piece by piece. Like that's so sick.
What I at least appreciate about Flash was like, yeah, it was in his ring, which is fucking corny, but like they, you know.
But that's in the
at least
comics.
It's a costume that he still has to put on, you know.
Yeah, and they showed
And he
that. Yeah.
puts it on really fucking quick. So it's
Yeah.
like, but it's a suit, you know, it's a suit that you put on. Whereas like, even with, you know, fucking Black Panther, like that shit, it's so annoying, dude.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. It's so fucking depressing.
They need to really take a page from like the Netflix Marvel shows.
Yeah.
Like,
or even DC, like because at least DC still has like suit up moments.
I like
and shit.
Peacemaker, how he just doesn't take his shit off.
Yeah,
Like, ever.
yeah.
Like, but then they tie it to like a mental thing, like a mental illness thing, to where like
Pretty much.
it's like his comfort thing,
He's-
and like he just doesn't take it off. He doesn't take his suit off. It's
Yeah.
like fucking hilarious.
I remember there was a moment where he went. I think he went on Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, he was wearing the Peacemaker.
He was wearing the Peacemaker suit. and
It's
he
very
said-
like Family Guy, Peter,
Yeah.
Lois. They all wear the same shit, and it's like never really discussed. Like The Simpsons,
yeah,
he's always wearing the same shit. It's never really discussed. And like Peacemaker is just wearing the same shit every episode, and it's very like cartoon like, and I appreciate that.
yeah.
But like in terms of the promoting and stuff, like he fucking goes for it. Like
Mhm.
he goes on Jimmy Fallon, he's wearing that shit. He goes on another interview, he's wearing that shit. It's fucking hilarious.
One of his excuses was like, "Oh well, you know, I just kept wearing it the whole time, and nobody ever tells you to take it off. So like, I just took it with me."
Yeah. So if we can go back to the actors thing for a little bit, and
Yeah.
this is maybe something we can leave you guys with, make you guys think. Not many people know about like the origins of like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, but Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were aspiring actors, and a lot of their early work was just being extras in movies. One of the movies that changed their life was Field of Dreams. So in the Fenway Park scene, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, I think they're like teenagers at this point, or maybe early 20s. They are somewhere in that scene with Kevin Costner and James Earl Jones.
Wow.
And I think they ended up going on to meet Kevin Costner and James Earl Jones. And this is kind of what fueled them to continue to pursue acting and pursue writing. This led them to write Good Will Hunting, which ended up going on to win Best Original Screenplay at the Oscars. This led them to cast Robin Williams in this role, which led to him winning Best Supporting Actor, the Oscar for that movie. So, if I can go back for a second and imagine if Ben Affleck and Matt Damon went on the set of Field of Dreams and they had him sign his likeness away and paid him $500. He'd be a pretty happy kid because he'd have $500 in his hand. But he never would get any more work on any other movie or production as an extra because he signed his likeness away. They wouldn't necessarily need him on any more of their productions. That'd probably discourage both him and Matt Damon to write. Good Will Hunting would have never came out. Robin Williams would have never won the Oscar. We probably wouldn't even fucking know who Matt Damon or Ben Affleck are.
Yeah.
So that is why this is important.
Yeah.
Because a career can happen in so many ways, and being a background actor or being an actor who can maintain a livable wage is so important because that's what fuels them to keep going to the next project. If they're going and going and going and they're just doing all this work for free, they're eventually going to stop.
Yeah.
And imagine if the world didn't have Ben Affleck. Imagine if the world didn't have Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Like, Ben Affleck's an Oscar award-winning director.
Yeah.
Like, Matt Damon's fucking Matt Damon. Imagine we just had no Born Legacy, fucking Born Supremacy, Born Identity movies.
Yeah.
Imagine Ben Affleck never became Batman. Like, he is one of the greatest Batmans ever put to movies, you know. The writing was shit, but he's fucking this hulking Dark Knight Returns figure. Yeah. Amazing. But imagine if we never had that. And that's kind of where we are right now, and that's why they're striking. Now, I've said it, I think, in the last episode, but it sucks right now. And a lot of things are being affected in terms of movies, TV. But some good will come out of this, you know.
And I also just wanted to make a point as well, just kind of my thoughts on, because I feel like AI will only get stronger from this point on. And I don't know, man, it's going to be a real fight against that, you know. As creatives, that's going to be a real fight for them. And so I wanted to just kind of make a point as to like why I think AI could just never do what writers do. And I always think back to a moment in Almost Famous. You ever seen that movie? Almost Famous? Yeah. And it's the end scene where I forgot the kid's name, but he plays Francis. He sits Frances McDormand down in the den, and he plays her Stairway to Heaven. And throughout the entire scene, it's just focused on Frances McDormand, and she's finally like understanding just the purpose, not only the purpose but the beauty of like rock and roll, and just what she was never like understanding throughout the entire movie, you know, through what she never understood about her son, what she never understood about the people he hung around with, you know, and like why it mattered or why it was important, you know. And I think to myself, like, dude, AI could never ever fucking write a scene like that. Ever, dude. That is the most human shit, you know?
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be human moments that, you know, just are gonna make AI, you know, obsolete in those realms.
Yeah.
You know, that's why AI is gonna lose, I think. You know,
and that's one of the, you know, like AI will never make a scene like that, but AI will never make a song like that.
Yeah.
Like, because I've been seeing on TikTok like a lot of AI generated songs. Like, they'll make like the Beatles sing like a Young Thug song, or they'll make Drake sing a Taylor Swift song or whatever, and it's like, AI will never generate a song like Stairway to Heaven.
No.
And I think as we go more and more and more and more and fight this AI thing, I think we're going to revert more back to the music of the 70s and the cinema of like the 70s, where we just start like 70s and 80s and 90s where we're reverting back. Like more people are going to start picking up a guitar
Yeah.
instead of sampling and like
a return to more analog stuff, maybe?
yeah, we're going to like revert backwards, I think. And I think I'm seeing that in music, but
Yeah.
I think in cinema, you know, like man, I was
that would be great to see, man. I would love to see that. Just, like a not like a regression, but just kind of like
it's like a renaissance.
Yeah, like a renaissance. Yeah, exactly.
Where we just go back
Yeah.
to like, I just, there's so many, in music, there's so many people that are famous that like really shouldn't be famous. Like, there's so many artists that aren't artists.
Mhm.
Like, pick up a fucking guitar,
Yeah.
pick up a notepad and a pencil and fucking write a song. Like, back in the 70s, like 60s, 70s, like songwriting was fucking insane. Like, the Rolling Stones, like no one can make Sympathy for the Devil.
No.
Like no one can make that shit. Like you can't generate that shit on a computer. Like that's something that just happens naturally between like a group of 4 people. Like it's crazy.
I also just love how the people countering AI music are basically just bullying other people who listen to AI music.
Yeah.
Where it's like, dude, you listen to AI music? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
So what the fuck is the matter with you?
It's so stupid. What is your problem?
Yeah. And there's people that are literally listening to like fake Drake songs. And they're like, oh, this is the great. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, imagine listening to like fake, like, I don't know, like the one pass that maybe I will give it is like, I love Michael Jackson. Yeah. And there was a song that got leaked where it was like a generated, like, if Michael Jackson had done a duet with The Weeknd. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. It's kind of interesting to see.
Yeah.
There was also an AI generated video that took all of Heath Ledger's scenes from The Dark Knight and replaced his face with his actual face. And that's something that I've always been curious about. Like if I was in Heath Ledger's presence, I would straight up ask him, like, can he do some Joker shit? Like, I just want to see it without the makeup. Because I can't imagine, because he is the makeup, It's like I can't imagine that performance without the makeup. And there's a video that replaces his face with his real face in the entirety of all his scenes in The Dark Knight, and is like, wow, this dude's a fucking genius.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. But,
all that to say, though, these labor disputes, the strikes, AI, all this is signifying kind of a dark age right now. But where there is a dark age, there comes a renaissance.
Yeah.
And a renaissance is coming soon, I feel.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised, man. There's so many. There's so much beautiful art out there that just hasn't been seen yet and hasn't been realized yet, and I see it all the time.
Yeah.
As an artist, as a painter, I see it all the time.
And I feel like just like Top Gun, Maverick,
Yeah.
Coming out of the pandemic, that was the movie.
Yeah.
Like that was the movie that brought everyone back.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I feel
it
like
was.
next year, or maybe even like the end of next year, we're gonna get that movie. Like I don't know what it is, but we're gonna get, like, it might be Deadpool 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a movie that's gonna be like, okay, like everything's gonna be okay.
You know what's crazy, dude, is that I went when I went and saw Asteroid City. That movie had been out for maybe 2.5 weeks already, and I went and saw it in theaters, and there was still a bunch of people in there, dude. It was still a full theater, still full packed.
That's cool.
And I was like, dude, people are still going to the theaters, man. People are coming back to the theaters, and I like that like what the impression that Top Gun left, kind of stuck around, and now people are kind of, just coming back, and it's cool. It's cool. But
yeah,
that was a cool little observation.
I just feel like we're gonna have a movie that's just gonna bring us back from this.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, guys,
Good luck to the writers.
Good luck to the writers. Good luck to all the actors.
The actors. Good luck to all the working class people in Hollywood.
Some good shit is gonna come out of this. We promise. it's kind of sucks right now. But you know,
But
it is what it is. Our next episode is going to be covering Barbenheimer.
yes,
That's going to be the next one. We're very excited for it.
yes.
And you know what? I've heard that Oppenheimer changes cinema forever.
I'm
So,
excited to see.
We'll see.
In what way?
We'll see. But
We'll tell you about it.
anyways, guys, that's been episode 6. Go watch a movie. Go watch a show. And we'll see you next week.